Ah well, my dear, they warned them. They warned them with the intensity of prophets, sages, and seers who could read the shifting tides of fate. Do not awaken you, they said, their voices trembling, faces shadowed with the weight of ancient wisdom. They saw it coming. They saw what would happen if they pushed too far, if they disturbed something that should have remained asleep, but they ignored them. They chose to dance with destiny, mock its patterns, and pull at the threads of fate, like they were playing with a fragile, unwound clock. And now they beg. They beg for mercy. Too late. They thought they could outsmart it, didn't they? Thought they could control what was never meant to be controlled. Foolish, arrogant minds, playing with forces they couldn't even begin to comprehend. They thought they were the masters of their own universe, that they could bend the world to their will, that they could shake the foundations of existence without consequences. But there's a price for tampering with the unknown, and it's a price they're paying now, crawling on their knees, begging for forgiveness they can never receive. It started slow, didn't it? They didn't realize what they were awakening. It wasn't a beast. No, it was something worse, something deeper, something primal that lived within the marrow of the earth and the veins of the sky. Something that could only be awakened by arrogance, a force that wasn't bound by time or reason, a force that could strip away illusions and bare the soul in ways they couldn't fathom. But they weren't paying attention. They were too busy stroking their own egos, too busy thinking they could rewrite the rules of the game. They were told, weren't they? Do not awaken you. Those sages knew what would happen if they did. They knew what would be unleashed, and yet they couldn't resist. The pull was too strong. The hunger for power, the desire for control, for domination, it blinded them. And when you are blinded by your own desires, you forget the most important thing, the cost of your actions. And now they are paying for it. They've been calling it chaos, haven't they? But it's not chaos. No, it's something much worse. Chaos is random. It's unpredictable. But this is deliberate. It's the slow, methodical unraveling of everything they built, everything they held dear, everything they believed was untouchable. It's not a storm they can weather. It's a fire that will burn them to their core, and there's no escape from it. The flames are already licking at their feet, and they can feel it now, can't they? The weight of their decisions, heavy as lead, sinking into their chests. They can feel it in their bones. At first, they laughed it off, didn't they? Thought they were immune, that they could mock the warnings, brush them aside like they were nothing more than fairy tales told to children. They laughed at the sages, dismissed them as fools who couldn't see the bigger picture. But the bigger picture is what they couldn't see. The grand design, the long arc of the universe, the immutable laws that govern life and death, the rules they thought they could break without consequence. But life isn't like that, is it? No. Life has a way of reminding you that you're not in control, no matter how much you think you are. The universe doesn't bow to your whims. It doesn't care about your plans. They thought they were clever, didn't they? Thought they could cheat the system, that they could move the pieces on the board without ever considering the consequences. And now, as the walls close in, as the shadows gather around them, they see the truth. The very thing they thought they could control is the thing that is now controlling them. It's beautiful, really, isn't it? The way they thought they could play God, and now they're begging for mercy from a force they can't even begin to understand. A force that isn't bound by their rules, their laws, or their concepts of right and wrong. It doesn't care about their pleas, their regrets. It simply exists. It simply is. And they're nothing more than ants, scurrying around in desperation, trying to escape a trap they set for themselves. But this is the price of arrogance. This is what happens when you try to outsmart fate, when you try to bend the universe to your will. You awaken something that doesn't care about your plans. You awaken something that will tear your world apart and leave you in the wreckage, begging for mercy. And do you know what's worse? It won't give you that mercy. No, not even for a moment. They should have listened, shouldn't they? But now it's too late. The damage is done. The consequences have been set in motion, and there's no going back. They'll try to fight it, of course. They'll try to claw their way out of the pit they've dug for themselves. But every struggle, every desperate attempt to regain control will only pull them deeper into the abyss. Because once the monster has been awakened, there's no putting it back to sleep. There's no negotiating with it, no appeasing it. It's already out there, hunting, searching, waiting. And what about them? The ones who thought they were untouchable? The ones who believed they could escape unscathed? The ones who played with fire, thinking they were immune to the burn? They are nothing now. Nothing but shadows of their former selves, scurrying for cover, praying for a mercy that will never come. They are pawns in a game they didn't understand, and now they are begging for the very thing they once dismissed: forgiveness. But you and I know something they don't we? There is no forgiveness for those who awaken what should have stayed asleep. There's only the relentless march of consequences and the slow, inevitable collapse of everything they once held dear. They never thought it would come to this, did they? They thought that somehow, some way, they would be the exception to the rule. They thought that by outsmarting the old ways, by ignoring the warnings, they could rewrite history. But there's one thing they forgot. The past always catches up. You can't outrun what's already been set in motion. And now, they stand there, gasping for air, their knees buckling under the weight of their own decisions. Their world has become a cage, and every bar is made of their own hubris. The walls are closing in. They can feel it. They can hear the whispers of what they've unleashed, creeping, crawling, getting closer with each breath they take. They wanted control. They wanted to dictate the terms of existence, to shape the future as they saw fit. They didn't realize that by doing so, they had invited something into their lives that was never meant to be invited. Something dark, something ancient, a force that doesn't know compromise, doesn't understand empathy. It doesn't care about their intentions, their desires, their whims. All it cares about is balance. And now, the scales are tipping further with every passing second. The fear they're feeling isn't new. It's the kind of fear that builds slowly, like the tightening of a noose, unnoticed, until the very moment it becomes suffocating. They tried to ignore it at first, didn't they? They convinced themselves they were just paranoid, that the signs they saw weren't real, that the shifting shadows were just tricks of the mind. But it's no illusion. The thing they awoke is as real as the ground beneath their feet. as real as the air in their lungs. And it's growing stronger. They'll try to reason with it, won't they? They'll beg, plead, offer anything they think might spare them. But this force doesn't respond to pleas. It doesn't respond to logic or emotional manipulation. It only responds to one thing: consequence. And for every mistake they've made, for every moment they've pushed past the boundaries of what they should have respected, they will now pay the price in full. There is no mercy here. There is no escape. The trap has been set, and the predator is hungry. It's almost comical, isn't it? Watching them scramble for salvation, watching them desperately try to reassert control over something that was never in their hands to begin with. It's like watching a child try to control a storm. They can scream into the wind, they can flail their arms and curse the skies, but nothing will change. The storm will rage on, indifferent to their struggles, unrelenting in its fury, and in their desperation, they will only expose more of their vulnerability, more of their weakness. The harder they fight, the deeper they sink. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? The beauty of watching something so powerful unfold. They're not the ones in control anymore. The very thing they thought they could dominate is now calling the shots. Every move they make, every attempt to fight back, only fuels the flames of their demise. They thought they were playing a game, but the rules were never theirs to make. They're pawns. Pawns in a game they never understood, and now they're being consumed by it, piece by piece. They thought they could master the elements, bend time, break the boundaries of reality, and for a while, it seemed like they could. Their arrogance blinded them to the truth, the deep, unspoken truth that the universe cannot be manipulated without consequence. There are forces in the world, forces older than any civilization, older than any empire, that do not bow to the will of men. These forces are not bound by logic, not swayed by emotion, not driven by petty desires. They are primal. They are eternal. And now that force is awake, and they are standing in the middle of it, wondering why they ever thought they could control it. They will remember the faces of the sages now, won't they? The ones they mocked, the ones they dismissed as fools. They'll remember their warnings, their voices echoing in their minds as the world around them crumbles. The sages knew. They always knew. They understood that some things, some forces, should never be tampered with. They understood that balance is fragile, and once disrupted, it cannot be repaired. But the ones who ignored them, they are learning that lesson the hard way. It's not just about power, is it? It never was. It's about understanding your place in the world, acknowledging the limits of your reach. Power is a dangerous thing when it's used recklessly, when it's wielded by those who think they can control everything. But the truth is, no one controls anything. Not really. We're all just players in a game, trying to make sense of a world that makes no sense at all. And the moment you think you can control it, the moment you believe you have the power to shape reality, is the moment you've already lost. And now, as they watch their world unravel, as they feel the weight of their actions pressing down on them, they will know the price of that arrogance. They'll see it in the eyes of their loved ones, in the way their empire falls apart, in the way the world turns against them. They'll see it in the way their pleas for mercy go unanswered. No one is coming to save them. No one can. But what's worse, what's truly devastating, is that they'll never fully understand why this is happening. They'll never fully grasp the depths of their own hubris, the way their actions set this whole thing into motion. They'll never understand that it was never about them. It was never about their desires, their ambitions, or their need for control. It was always about the balance, always about the law of nature. And now, they're standing at the mercy of that law, and there is nothing they can do to change it. But the real tragedy here isn't their fate. No, the real tragedy is the moment they realize that their attempts to escape have only deepened their despair. They'll try to run, won't they? They'll try to hide, to find some way to shield themselves from the inevitable. But it's already too late. The consequences are in motion, and nothing can stop them now. The beast they've awakened isn't going to stop. It doesn't care about their regrets, their pleas. It's already too late for that. And as the darkness closes in, they will realize that they've sealed their own fate. They can no longer run from what they've unleashed. They can no longer hide behind their walls, their lies, or their illusions. The truth is out there now, and it's staring them in the face, cold and unforgiving. They were warned, and now they are learning the cost of ignoring those warnings. Now, the real truth comes crashing down like an unstoppable avalanche. It's almost poetic in its cruelty. The realization that their mistakes were inevitable, that from the very first defiance, the moment they chose to believe they were immune to the consequences of their arrogance, it was all leading here. The pieces were in motion long before they understood the game. And now, it's checkmate. No one is coming to their rescue. Not even the very gods they once thought they could bend to their will. There's a certain type of beauty in how quickly things unravel when the wheels of fate begin to turn. Like a perfectly timed explosion, their world falls apart in ways they can't even begin to grasp. The structure they built, the empire they thought would last forever, crumbles before their eyes. It's like watching the final breath of a dying beast, struggling, writhing, but ultimately powerless in the face of its own end. And they're there, at the epicenter of it all, choking on the smoke of their own destruction. They see it now, don't they? They see the truth that they so willfully ignored. That the chaos, the suffering, the very thing that's come for them, it was never just a consequence of their actions. It was a force they triggered with every calculated decision they made. They didn't think they were playing with fire. They thought they were controlling it. But fire doesn't obey. Not for long. The ancient power they awakened is not some distant threat anymore. It's here. It's everywhere. It moves in the cracks between moments, hiding in the spaces where they least expected, waiting. It's the shadow that's always just out of view, the whisper in their ear that they can't silence. It's the gnawing sense of doom that creeps into every waking hour, twisting their insides into knots. It isn't just about their fall from grace. It's about the complete and utter destruction of everything they ever thought they were. There's nothing they can do to stop it now. Nothing that will change the course of their fate. The moment they crossed that line, the moment they decided that they could defy what was ancient and immutable, that's when the universe itself took notice. They thought they could outsmart it. They thought they could play the game better than anyone else. But in the end, they were just another player, in a game they didn't understand, governed by rules they were too blind to see. And now, as they face the very force they unleashed, they're starting to feel the weight of it. The pull of that dark force is impossible to ignore, like gravity, dragging them deeper into the abyss with every step they take. They don't have the power to escape. They don't have the answers. They don't even have the strength to fight anymore. Their minds are unraveling, scrambling to make sense of a reality that's slipping further and further out of reach. And yet they can't stop running, can they? They can't stop begging, pleading for a way out that's never coming. It's maddening, isn't it? The realization that the very thing they thought they could control is now controlling them. They've become the puppets, dancing on strings they can't see, and the ones holding those strings, they're no longer in any position to negotiate. They've awakened the storm, and now the storm is coming for them. They'll try to bargain, of course. That's the instinct of every desperate soul when they realize there's no escape. They'll offer everything: their power, their wealth, their lives. But the ancient force they've disturbed doesn't care for such trivial things. What are their riches to it? What are their lives worth in the face of something that has existed since the dawn of time? These things are fleeting. They are dust in the wind. And now they will know that no amount of begging, no amount of pleading will change what's already been set into motion. The ancient ones, the sages, they knew this. They knew it all along. They understood the consequences of meddling with forces beyond comprehension. They understood that some things, no, some beings, are not to be trifled with. And yet, these fools believed they could control it. They believed they were smarter, more powerful, more important than the laws of the universe itself. And in their arrogance, they have proven how wrong they truly were. Now, as they face the consequences, as they stare into the void they've created, there is no comfort left, no safe place to hide, no allies to call upon. The world they knew is gone, ripped apart by the very forces they thought they could manipulate. The darkness they once sought to control now has them in its grip, suffocating them, stripping them of everything they took for granted. There's no escape. There's no turning back. But here's the real kicker. It wasn't even about their defeat. No, the true tragedy lies in what they'll never know. They'll never know how close they were to understanding, to truly grasping the scale of the world they were tampering with. They were so close to realizing that this was never about their survival or their dominance. It was always about balance. They were part of a greater equation, a cosmic dance that they will never understand. But instead of respecting their place in that dance, they fought to break it. And now, the price is being paid. There's no second chance. There's no redemption. There's no way to undo the chaos they've unleashed. The hourglass has run out. The sands of time have slipped through their fingers, and now all that's left is the bitter, cold sting of their own failure. They'll try to scream. They'll try to beg. But no one is listening anymore. They'll be left to face the consequences, alone, in the darkness of their own creation. And in that final moment, when the force they awakened comes crashing down on them, they'll understand. They'll finally understand. The game was never theirs to win. The balance was never theirs to tip. They thought they could control it. But the universe has a way of correcting itself. It always has. It always will. As they fall, They'll remember the sages, those ancient voices from long ago, whispering a truth they could never hear. The truth they ignored. And in that truth, they'll find no solace. Only the cold, harsh reality of their own downfall. Their mercy, it never existed. It was never meant to be.